Welcome back. It's Climb the Pocket coming at you for another edition of Stardom Situm. It's your week 2 in the NFL. There's no better time to make the right decisions to get a win. If you're not a subscriber already, subscribe to the channel and like the video for a chance to win this signed Dionate Johnson football, winner to be announced in a video in the coming weeks. Here's our success rate with our starts and sits through week 1, and we will be continuing to monitor our hits and misses throughout the season. Now, let's get into the start quarterbacks. Our must-start quarterbacks for Week 2 are Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, and our under-the-radar quarterback for Week 2 is TYROD Taylor versus Cleveland. Taylor had an efficient day in Week 1 against a subpar defense in Jacksonville, but let's not hide the fact that Taylor looked pretty good under center, passing for nearly 300 yards and 2 scores without a turnover. The Browns are surely a much tougher matchup for the quarterback, but the Texans will almost certainly be playing from behind in this game, and some long ball completions to Brandon Cooks and company are not out of the question for the journeyman quarterback. Our must-sit quarterbacks for Week 2 are Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, Zach Wilson, Derek Carr. And our beware of the bust quarterback for Week 2 is Trevor Lawrence versus Denver. Lawrence certainly did not disappoint in the stat categories for fantasy owners in Week 1 against Texans, passing for over 300 yards and 3 scores. But the rookie quarterback added 3 interceptions to the stat sheet, proving there is still some adapting to be done at the pro level. The Jaguars did not look good as a whole in the opening contest, and Denver is a much better defense than Houston. Leave Lawrence on the sidelines in Week 2. Now on to the running back position. Our must-start running backs for Week 2 are DeAndre Swift, Chase Edmonds, Myles Gaskin, Tyson Williams, Darrell Henderson. And our under-the-radar running back for Week 2 is JAVONTE Williams versus Jacksonville. Some thought Williams would take a backseat to Melvin Gordon to start the season in terms of team snap percentage, but the rookie running back actually saw the same amount of snaps as the veteran, both taking 50%. Gordon certainly ended up with the better fantasy day, capitalizing on a 70-yard touchdown run, but Williams had more attempts in the game and proved he can play at the NFL level. A friendly matchup against the Jags could bode well for this runner in Week 2. I'd put him in your lineup. Our must-sit running backs for Week 2 are Mark Ingram, Devin Singletary, Mike Davis, Tevin Coleman, Ronald Jones. And our beware of the bust running back for Week 2 is James Robinson versus Denver. With a preseason injury to the rookie Travis Etienne, it was almost a surefire bet Robinson would return to the season in 2024. It appears new coach Urban Meyer has other plans, as veteran Carlos Hyde saw more attempts in Week 1. In an easy matchup against the Texans, much more was expected from the second-year back. Until we know how this coaching staff is going to use him going forward, it seems safer to keep him on the bench and wait and see. Now on to the wide receiver position. Our must-start wide receivers for Week 2 are Chase Claypool, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Brown, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks. And our under-the-radar wide receiver for Week 2 is Will Fuller versus Buffalo. Fuller is coming off serving his final game of his 6-game suspension that leaked into the 2021 season. There's plenty of opportunity for this veteran deep threat to make an impact in Week 2 for the Dolphins. Wide receivers on the Dolphins only totaled 14 targets in Week 1, and that number was surely to go up with Fuller back in the lineup. We predict Trey White for Buffalo to follow Devontae Parker, leaving the door open for Fuller for some big play opportunities, something we saw a lot in Houston with Deshaun Watson throwing him the football. Not to mention Tua looks like an improved player in 2021. Our must-sit wide receivers for Week 2 are Kenny Golladay, Tyler Boyd, Russell Gage, Devontae Parker, Brandon Ayuk. And our beware of the bust wide receiver for Week 2 is Robbie Anderson versus New Orleans. Anderson did cash in on a long touchdown pass from old and new teammate Sam Darnold in Week 1, but reading between the lines, Anderson was 3rd in targets at the position on his team, totaling only 3. Rookie Terrace Marshall looked good in his NFL debut and looks to threaten Anderson for the number 2 role in the team. Against a much better defense in New Orleans in Week 2, temper expectations for Robbie Anderson in this matchup. Now on to the tight end position. Our must-start tight ends for Week 2 are Tyler Higbee, Rob Gronkowski, Jonnu Smith, Robert Tonyan, Noah Fant, and our under-the-radar tight end for Week 2 is Jared Cook versus Dallas. Jared Cook showed a surprising sign of new life in his Charger debut on Sunday, racking up the 3rd most targets for a tight end on the week with 8. Volume is the one thing we are looking for when streaming a tight end in fantasy football, so Cook may just be a diamond in the rough. He's a fine option for Week 2 against Dallas, who just gave up a huge performance to Gronkowski on opening night. Our must-sit tight ends for Week 2 are Mike Gesicki, Blake Jarwin, Jawan Johnson, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, and our beware the bust tight end for Week 2 is Gerald Everett versus Tennessee. Although Everett did catch a touchdown pass from his new quarterback Russell Wilson in Week 1, he only totaled 2 targets. Veteran Seahawk Will Dissly saw more looks, and Wilson continued to look towards his trustworthy wide receiver group more often in Week 1. We still like Everett as a sleeper at the position for the season, but he is still just a touchdown or bust candidate until we see how he grows with this offense. Thanks again for joining us another edition of Start 'em Sit 'em here on the Climb the Pocket YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for a chance to win a signed Dionate Johnson football. Let's continue to make educated decisions and go get a W in Week 2.